Oh my god, I'm so inferior. Hi everyone. For those of you who commented on my previous college reactions video asking for my stats and ECs at the time of applying, here's the video for that. Finally made it. So in this video, I'll be talking about my GPA, scores, honors, and extracurriculars that I did at the time of applying. And I will also be walking through with my own tips, recommendations, and showing you the commonapp. I will be posting a full video coming next about my art portfolio with explanations of my works, and I hope you enjoy this video. So those of you who watched my college decision reactions video will know that I applied as an applied math or economics major to 15 different schools, 9 of them out of state, and then 6 of them to the UCs. And to give some context, I am a high school senior right now. I'm going to graduate in a few days. Good job, me, and to the other seniors. And if anyone's interested, I do go to a public high school in the Bay Area, California. And I'm just gonna put some basic information here about the 2 different systems that I applied to. I'm not gonna include MIT because it's very niche. I'd be happy to answer questions about it, but here's the UC and commonapp, in terms of what additional materials they take, since that does factor into the decisions. Now I'll give a quick overview of my academic stats. Our school doesn't have rank, but I do know that we have 616 seniors this year in our class, and I was told by the school that I ranked within the top 10 of students for weighted GPA, so if that helps you as a reference, if you come from a ranked school, then there you go. At the time of applying, my weighted GPA was a 4.69, and I did not have a 4.0 because I got 1B in junior second semester for physics. I got A's the rest of my courses for the other years. I did take 13 APs over the course of high school, so 1 in 9th grade, 3 in 10th grade, 4 in 11th grade, and then 5 in 12th grade. I took the AP exams for all these courses, except for my senior year courses, and I submitted all of these scores because I got all 5s and then 2 4s. In terms of the other standardized tests, I did not take ACT, so I can't help you there, but I did take the SAT 3 times. My final score was a 1530, which I did submit, and this was a 730 English and 800 math. What I'm trying to say is that I went in with experience, and so I wouldn't stress out if you're not getting the score that you want on the first time, or even the second time. I would definitely budget in time, even if you studied well, to take it once or twice more than what you originally did. That being said, testing is not as important as people think, and so if they have a good picture of your academics from your activities and then also your GPA and letter of rec, then it shouldn't matter too much if you mess up on the big day. Walk through the commonapp and UC application showing you my activity descriptions, but to give a brief overview, here's how I would group my activities into 4 main categories. Them being sports, tennis, clubs from school ranging from all my interests, math, business, teaching, tutoring, and art service. The business education project I did on my own, creating an introduction to business course and learning, and also the business internship that I did during the spring and summer. Then lastly would be art, which I did on my own, drawing every day, creating projects as a side hobby, and also posting my work online and submitting a portfolio, of course. Tennis was by far my most time-consuming extracurricular. I was not good enough to be recruited, but I was good enough to get my ranking high enough to qualify into national tournaments, do pretty well around NorCal. And basically everyone ranked above me was being recruited, so that gives an idea of my level. That's it. I trained every day, 2 to 3 hours after school, along with my own fitness outside of practice, and I did this for many years, since late elementary school when I got serious. So I played tournaments at least two times a month year round when I was not injured, and so many of my weekends were spent on the road, and I had to learn how to balance homework. I often did it in the morning, on the road, or before matches. So I often did not have free weekends at home, and the other ones were usually because I was studying for big exams. If anyone's curious about my schedule, I would often get home from tennis at 7 straight after school, especially during high school tennis, which I really love. I would recommend team sports. And I would usually sleep around 11 or 12, then I would wake up at 6 a.m. every day. During high school, I woke up between 5 and 7 every day, including weekends. That's just how I work, and I just needed the time. Coffee also got me through high school, just saying. So the next category is business activities. I was an officer of all 3 business clubs that I was in at some point. 2 of them were discontinued. I'll explain later down below. From this club, Beam, I began working with a local company in an internship, working on marketing and product development projects. And really, to me, this was a good experience. And I did this every spring and summer until this summer, because I'm a senior. Learning about business from clubs did inspire me to start creating my own content for an introduction to business course. So for my own interest, I took online courses from Coursera, started watching videos online, and then reading textbooks from the library, as well as ones that I bought just for fun. And from this, I created over 330 pages of my own curriculum that I was planning to use to make a course of my own. It was probably going to be an online course to aim for a younger audience. I also wrote my senior thesis on the lack of business education in high schools, by the way, if anyone's interested. So that's what that project was. So I used to do competition math, the AMCs, math counts, all those things, but I stopped. Math modeling was a very difficult competition for me because I had to learn a lot of new things, and there was a lot more that's open-ended, but I will say that it was a really good experience, and it's also what inspired me to pursue applied math. So I've long been drawing as a hobby. I draw every day. I just can't keep my hands still. I'm not very good. I didn't take many courses in this, and I also didn't have a lot of time to dedicate to it, but I would post regularly online and work on projects of my own, as well as enter into competitions. I took Drawing 1 in high school. I changed NAHS, National Art Honor Society, at our school from a more exclusive upperclassmen club to one that focused more on community service and was open to all grades, just because I thought that would be a better move for the club when I became president. And I ended up combining those two and then writing about them more in depth in my essays. The other clubs I was in them from the start of my high school experience, and I loved them all. I did omit one of my clubs, which was a tutoring club, just because I didn't have space. I took on greater roles of involvement in all of them, so officer roles or helping roles. The last 2 were discontinued, but they did start my passion for business. And I will say that saying that you're an officer is not what makes the position important to the colleges. It's from being an officer that you have a greater involvement, connection to the club and its members, and then also experience doing different things about running the behind the scenes and everything, outreach, planning, that kind of thing. that makes it important and valuable to you. So I did write about a lot of these experiences in my essays, and a lot of people would probably look at my clubs and say that I did them for the app because I have a lot. Genuinely, I liked them a lot, and so I decided to make time for them. These are my honors ranked by importance. FBLA was discontinued at our school after the first year because we don't have a certified business course. I placed 3rd in regionals and then 8th in states, which did not qualify me for nationals. My event was Intro to Business, so I'd be happy to give study materials if anyone wants. Letters of recommendation. So, I asked 3 teachers for my letters of rec because I just really liked the teachers and I wanted to. So for tips for recommendation letters, I would 1, recommend you to ask early, and then 2, I would also give them good info just so that way they know you more. And then 3, be polite and understanding about their time because they are taking their time to write this letter for you. Choose one teacher related to your intended field or remotely related, STEM versus humanities, for example. Choose teachers that you had a good impression on, you liked, or you might have again, like I had my Calc BC teacher again, and then the other 2 I asked to become advisors for my 2 clubs that needed new ones. So I would be working with them again and again. And this also makes it easier when figuring out how to submit things, you'll be in closer contact with them. I can also talk more about if anyone wants to know about my letter of continued interest that I wrote to Harvard after being deferred, or as well as I sent a 1-page letter, and I also asked my tennis coach from school to if he would be able to write me another rec letter, an additional rec letter that I could send with my LOCI. And so I feel like those definitely helped me a lot in being picked from the deferred batch. I did interviews for Harvard, Penn, MIT, and Northwestern. I'd be happy to talk more about my experiences and give tips for interviews in general. I also submitted resumes to Penn, Vanderbilt, Northwestern, and NYU, and I submitted our portfolios to Harvard, MIT, Brown, and Penn. So I'm happy to answer any questions about college apps or high school in general, but here are my tips for you guys off the top of my head. 1 would be know your limits in high school. You won't know them at first, but you should begin to figure them out, or at least your current limits. This being for academics and extracurriculars. And then keep in mind that all these tips are in the lens of college apps. I could give a lot of tips about high school, but these ones are just to help you with college. And I didn't apply to summer programs, do research, or take any college courses during the summer. Instead, I used the summer as unstructured time to improve my tennis, work on personal projects, and then improve clubs. 2 is also my biggest piece of advice for high school. Be open-minded and take new opportunities. Say yes if you have the time. You'll likely change a lot in high school. So be open to trying new clubs, courses, figuring out new majors if you're still deciding through that. I didn't decide until my junior year. And activities, I would also encourage you to take risks on trying different projects. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, and try things that you don't think you can even do. And I would also encourage you to run for office. Take up greater involvement in the things that you do, because it will likely give you a lot more experience, even if I would not recommend doing it just for the title, but just so you can be more involved. Personally, one thing that I liked about high school compared to middle school is how many clubs, courses, and people there are, and I'm really excited for college when there will be even more of those. 3 would be understand how you work. So I'm a morning person. I know that I plan out all my days, weeks, and months, each one at a time. I can multitask on certain things, but not others. I know what helps me to study. I'd also be happy to give you guys tips on how to find your study style and what worked for me, especially as someone who had never studied before high school. So I was honestly a little bit afraid that I was going to do really badly in academics. But there is a way to learn and change yourself. And then the fourth one is more of an overall mindset thing, and this is to acknowledge that there's a lot of variability in college admissions. So what I mean by this is, like, work hard, push yourself, focus on your academics and ECs, of course. But beyond that, don't stress about having a very specific niche or like perfect app for college or fixate on one particular school. Just because of how unreliable the results are, even if you are qualified. So if you apply to enough safety, target, and reach schools as you should, and put your best into your application, you do have a good chance of getting into at least one school where you feel like you will do well. Even if like your chance at a single given school is quite unreliable. So that would be my recommendation. Anyways, hope that helped. Feel free to let me know any questions and put them in the comments below, as well as video suggestions. If you want to chat even more, especially about high schools, given that I will be graduating very soon and can talk about that, feel free to email me, and I would love to chat with you a lot more. Our portfolio video is coming very soon. Promise it won't take as long as this one, since I've already been working on it. But yeah, let me know, and hope this helped. Bye.